Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Speaker. I think so. You can't, right? Thank you, Comrade Speaker. Comrade Speaker, quickly, let me just quickly respond to the Honorable Minister of Labour when he stated, and I quote, "The PPP have a course." While one tends to agree with him that the PPP have a course, Comrade Speaker, the PPP ship lacks the rudder. And that rudder, sir, can be found on this side of the House. Comrade Speaker, I rise to make my presentation on this 2014 budget under the theme, "A Best Guyana for All Guyanese." A better Guyana for all Guyanese. You know, it does not matter what the theme is, because the theme says one thing, but the content says something completely different. You see, Comrade Speaker, the founder leader of my party, Guyana's first executive president, Caribbean man of the century, and indeed the father of the nation, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, always said that it is a sign of maturity when you read not only what is on the lines, but what is between the lines. So don't let us worry about the theme, Comrade Speaker. To quote one of our local soca artists, in this year's soca competition, it can be described as just yada yada. Comrade Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the staff of the Ministry of Finance, who no doubt would have spent many long hours, late nights, and maybe weekends away from their families preparing these estimates of the 2014 budget. For all of their hard work, we say to them, thank you, and you are appreciated. Comrade Speaker, this 2014 budget, like the 2013 and the 2012 budgets, has fallen into what I will call the PPPC's series of unfortunate events. In my 2013 budget presentation, sir, I alluded to indicators that signal, for want of a better term, disrespect. I alluded then that despite the calls made on December 12, 2012 by Majority Leader David Granger on His Excellency the President to establish a tripartite budget committee to have all of the parties represented in this August House sit together and put together the people's budget. There was not even a hint of progress made to this end. The call was ignored. Notwithstanding, it was made against the backdrop of the new composition in this House, resulting from the choice made by the electorates during the 2011 general and regional elections. Sir, I can recall saying that once is an accident, twice a coincidence, 3 times is disrespectful. Sir, this 2014 budget represents the 3rd presentation in this House, in this 10th Parliament, the 3rd occasion that the government has failed to consult with the majority elected opposition. Comrade Speaker, this 2014 People's Progressive Party civic budget, as presented, has now confirmed to the nation that this government is most disrespectful to the needs of the people of this nation. Disrespectful to the policemen and women who every day and night risk their lives to protect citizens and their property. Disrespectful to the soldiers who have to spend days and nights away from their families on our porous borders. Disrespectful to the nurses and doctors who have to provide health care. Disrespectful to the teachers who are the educators who mold the nation. Disrespectful to the pensioners who in their younger age did all of the above to pave the way for all of us here today who are enjoying the fruits of their labor. Disrespectful to those in need of public assistance, the visually impaired and the differently able. Disrespectful even to our own parliamentary staff who toil tirelessly to ensure that we do the nation's work effectively and efficiently. The series of unfortunate events. The government's attitude of non-consultation can best be described as a series of unfortunate events, transcending beyond the setting up of the tripartite budget committee. The failure to consult with the beneficiaries is another such unfortunate event. Comrade Speaker, in his budget presentation, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh, under the caption Education Grants, stated, and I quote, "Government will provide this year a cash grant to parents of every child attending nursery, primary, or secondary school in the public education system in the amount of $10,000 per child for the year 2014. He further stated, this grant can be used to meet such costs as transportation, as will provide added impetus, the rising of enrollment and attendance rates. This sum, Comrade Speaker, calculated to $40 per day. For those living on the coast, it is not even a short drop via the public transportation. What about those students living in the hinterland and riverine communities? A case in point, Comrade Speaker, is the village of Hackney on the Lower Pomeroon River Region 2, where the students traveling via boat are forced to pay as much as $1,000 per day per child from the village of Hackney to Charity to get to school. The unfortunate event here is that the government did poor consultation or did no consultation with the parents. If they did, they would have been told that in riverine communities, a school boat would be the first choice. And for those on the coast, school buses, their preference. And the $10,000, sir, can be put into the wages and salaries of the parents. A series of unfortunate events. Comrade Speaker, the New Opportunity Corps. Under the caption Project Profile Program for Youth, we see an allocation of $30 million for the completion of a confinement building and construction of fence and walkway for the New Opportunity Corps. Even though it is public knowledge that these works are due to the unrest at the facility on August 23, 2012, the taxpayers who have to front this bill are still awaiting the report from the Commission of Inquiry, which was set up to examine the circumstances that led to the breakout, the fires that destroyed the buildings, and make recommendations. In the 6th of February 2013 publication of the Kaieteur News, an article carried under the caption NOC, Commission of Inquiry Final Report to be presented this month end. The article also quoted Minister Frank Anthony as stating his assurance that any staffer found guilty of abusing the children when the report is presented this month end will be dealt with accordingly. Comrade Speaker, this was on the 6th of February 2013. Today is the 1st of April 2014, and we still await the report. There are countless reports from former inmates of the NOC of abuse that they have endured during their time at the institution. What is even more alarming is the fact that the caregivers at the institution are the persons engaged in those abusive practices. Comrade Speaker, the NOC is a correctional institution that provides opportunities for rehabilitation of those inmates. It is funded by the taxpayers, and as such, The taxpayers have the right to know what led to the unrest of 2012, the measures that have been put in place to prevent same from reoccurring, and both inmates and caregivers that have been found culpable are dealt with. Why the secret? Series of unfortunate events. Under the caption Youth, the Honorable Minister of Finance stated, and I quote, "Government continues to support the development of vulnerable youth across the country by empowering them with the skills and knowledge to improve their own livelihoods." The minister went on to state that over 2,300 young people benefited from training under several training programs: the NTPYE, the YEST, and the BIT training programs. What is absent in the minister's 2014 budget presentation, like his 2013 and 2012 presentation, sir, is the JOBS, the jobs. Comrade Speaker, one would have expected that when the government boasts about how much monies have been spent to train youths, it would have been proud to shout on the mountaintop that we, the People's Progressive Party Civic, have created thousands of jobs for our young people, and this year we are expected to create even more. Nothing of such. In fact, Comrade Speaker, over the years, we have seen 5 government ministries: the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Ministry of Labor continue to jostle each other to offer a variety of glamorous, short-term, ad hoc training courses for young people. They all promise but do not provide long-term careers that youths desperately seek. The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, for example, in 2013, launched a $200 million youth entrepreneurship and apprenticeship and entrepreneurship program, YAEP. The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport conducts the Youth Entrepreneurial Skills Training, YEST program. The Ministry of Home Affairs offers in what it calls Life Skills, a vocational pursuit under its Citizen Security Program, the CSP. The Ministry of Labor, through its Board of Industrial Training, BIT, conducts a 2-year apprenticeship program now called the National Training Project for Youth Empowerment, NTPYE. There was even, sir, the PYARG, the President Youth Award, Republic of Guyana. All of these programs, the YAEP, the YEST, the CSP, the BIT, the NTPYE, and the PYARG attracts millions of the taxpayers' dollars to be spent. Yet, the Honorable Minister of Finance cannot even report to this National Assembly how many jobs have been created. Comrade Speaker, this country's unemployed young people feel that they are in an employment cul-de-sac. The International Labour Organization, ILO, in its employment report stated, and I quote, 77% of educated persons of working age migrate because of the lack of employment opportunity. They feel that they have become entangled in a web of bureaucratic programs which generates lots of certificates and diplomas but provide few jobs. End of quote. Too many Guyanese youths still leave school unskilled, enter the workforce for the first time, and are obliged to resort to the informal sector for employment in low-paying occupancies. 4 out of every 10 youth face jobless future, and the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration is still to announce a plan to deal with the crisis of youth unemployment. This, Comrade Speaker, is but another of the PPPC's series of unfortunate events. The National Cultural Center. The PPPC's series of unfortunate events continues. Comrade Speaker, over the past few months, this premier landmark has been described as a hot mess, with its broken air conditioning unit, poor lights, weak audio system, etc. We note, however, in this year's budget, there is an allocation of $55 million to replace the air conditioning unit, lights, and audio system. The Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Dr. Frank Anthony, at a press conference, complained about the center losing money and that it cannot sustain its operation because he claims of its low rentals. Comrade Speaker, here are a few facts. As recently reported by producer of the popular Link show, Mrs. Jem Nascimento of Gem's Theatre Production, she stated, and I quote, that the National Cultural Center charges a $80,000 flat rental for the entire building. In addition to this basic rental of $80,000, the producer pays a surcharge of 20% on all tickets, prices, rental of bars, for the printing of tickets, a charge for the use of the producer's own video camera to film this very producer's show, for rehearsals, for the ushers, for the front of house staff and security. Calculated on ticket prices, sir, at $2,000, $1,500, and $1,000 respectively. Once there is a full house, a total sum of $2,947,500 is realized per night, provided that there's a full house. The producer then pays approximately 26% of the gross income to the National Cultural Center, or a sum of $766,350. Plus, the producer then pays a 16% value-added tax to the Guyana Revenue Authority, or a $471,600. Although 40% of each night of the producer's gross income is paid over to the government, Comrade Speaker, this amount paid to the Ministry of $766,350 per night for 8 nights at minimum amounts to $3,183,300, and this is only from one show that is hosted at the National Cultural Center. One therefore wonders, was the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports misinformed when he said that the National Cultural Center is unable to sustain itself, or if he was simply being creative with his remarks? According to the man in the streets, sir, it is because it was built by Forbes Burnham under the PNC administration.
One second, Mr. Jones.
To fail
time
and
is up.
fall apart.
Mr. Jones, you have 5 minutes with him to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Series of unfortunate events, sports. Comrade Speaker, the Minister of Finance stated, and I quote, a sum of $960 million has been allocated to the sector, of which $344 million is expected to be spent on continuing works at the Leonora Athletics Track, end of quote. Comrade Speaker, according to the Government Information News Agency of August 5th, 2013, in an interview with the Minister of Finance, he said, and I quote, earlier this year, 2013, a sum of $176 million have been contracted to BK International for the construction of 2 stands at the northern side of the track. Minister Anthony said, the foundation work for the stands has started. These are being constructed in stages, and once completed, will accommodate approximately 10,000 persons. The minister further explained that all materials for the track are in Guyana, and the ministry is awaiting good weather for the German company to return to lay the track. Comrades, to lay the track. Comrade Speaker, again, the Government Information News Agency on September the 25th, 2013, quoted Minister of Finance again as stating that the synthetic track will be completed at year-end. To date, sir, this track has not been completed. Comrade Speaker, this is clearly not a series of unfortunate events, but more like a series of confusion. Clearly, sir, something is afoot, and all is not well with this project. As such, sir, I will urge the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Dr. Frank Anthony, to be prepared to provide this House, when we meet in the Committee of Supply, with straightforward answers as it relates to this project. Because, sir, 344 million is too large of amount of the taxpayers' monies to be wasted. Series of unfortunate events, the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. Comrade Speaker, the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall and the National Gymnasium are two of our main sports facilities. These facilities are used for training and competition purposes, such as basketball, table tennis, hockey, boxing, netball, to name a few. This, Comrade Speaker, is according to the Government Information News Agency. However, one noticed the absence of football or futsal football from the list. Comrade Speaker, permit me, for the benefit of the members of this House, to explain what is futsal football. It is an international known sport like football. However, it is played indoors. Comrade Speaker, Mr. O'Neill Durant, sports coordinator of the Starbrook Sports Warrior, introduced this style of football to Guyana in the year 2010. Teams are drawn from all of the municipal markets across the country. For example, Starbrook, Border, Leonora, La Penitence, Monrepo, just to name a few, to play a friendly game of football. These vendors, who due to their very demanding and time-consuming jobs would otherwise not find the time to organize sport. One should view this healthy competition as in keeping with the statement from Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Dr. Frank Anthony, when he mentioned, and I quote, to have Guyanese get out, get fit, get out and play. Comrade Speaker, after the first competition in 2010, the Starbrook Warriors were given a royal runaround to access these facilities for the past 3 years. Having written to the National Sports Commission on several occasions, to date, they are unable to get access to this facility. Comrade Speaker, it would appear that it seems to be much easier for persons to access these facilities and then use them as an abattoir to slaughter goats than it is for sports organizations to access them, to use them for the intended purposes. Comrade Speaker, in closing, the Starbrook Warriors have indicated that in the year 2011, they have paid to the National Sports Commission the sum of $165,000 to host this event. Sir, I have here the two receipts with the head National Sports Commission and it's stamped by the National Sports Commission. To date, sir, they have been unable to get a refund of this $160,000 that they have paid to the National Sports Commission. I call on the Minister of Sport, Dr. Frank Anthony, to please look into this and seek that this organization gets their money. In closing, Comrade Speaker, the People's Progressive Party civic series of unfortunate events did not begin in 2012, sir. It began several years ago, when the People's Progressive Party civic, sir, did not heed to their own supporters' call for a better life, for improved wages and salaries. And as such, sir, their supporters spoke loudly at the 2011 general and regional elections. One would have expected that after this loud statement by their supporters, that the government would have changed their ways. We see now, sir, in 2012, 2013, and here again in 2014, the People's Progressive Party civic series of unfortunate events continue. I thank you.